Like many historic buildings, the Capitol has some things in it that are shrouded in a bit of myth. The Michigan chandeliers are a perfect example. Had you come on a tour of this building 40 or 50 years ago, you would have been told that the big Michigan chandeliers that hang in our corridors were actually made of copper. Now, to some extent, that could make some sense. When the Capitol was built in the 1870s, Michigan produced more copper than any other place in the country. In fact, the profits from copper mining certainly helped drive Michigan's economy in the late 19th century, and it helped fund projects like the Capitol building. The trouble is, though, we discovered that's really not true. During the Capitol's restoration in the early 1990s, we took down these lighting fixtures, and one of them was actually sent out to be replicated because we lost one in an accident back in the 1960s. At that point in time, we actually disassembled the chandelier and we analyzed it to determine what it was made of. And it turns out there are several different metals in it, but the only copper in the chandelier is the copper that's in the brass, because copper is part of that brass alloy. So there went story number one. Story number two that we used to tell was that these lights were made by the Tiffany Company. Turns out that's also not true. First of all, they're very different from Tiffany chandeliers. Second of all, there are no Tiffany marks on them. And if you go back through the records, you can actually see that most of our lighting fixtures for the building were purchased from a company in New York called the Mitchell-Vance Company. And to be fair, they were one of the top producers certainly at that time. One thing that is true about the chandeliers is that they are unique. You will not find one of these spectacular Michigan chandeliers anywhere else in the world. They're really lovely. And as you take a look at them, they combine together three important elements. First of all, they're art pieces. The Victorians loved art, they loved design, and they wanted to include as many beautiful things in this building as possible. We call these our Michigan chandeliers because they include a couple different elements from the state coat of arms. That coat of arms was designed by Lewis Cass and adopted by the state in 1835. You'll recognize the elk and also a small brass shield on which is the word tuabor. Tuabor means we will defend or we will protect. It's always been an unofficial motto for the state